This is the marijuana tax. Let's go to the San Fernando Valley. Frank Sheftel, San Fernando Valley.
Hello, Frank Sheftel here out in the Valley. Finally glad you're getting to this. I felt like I was on a merry-go-round watching the previous one. I'm glad you finally got that one settled. But you know what? Bottom line is, with regards to marijuana and the idea to tax it, we just had that on the ballot to tax and regulate. That would have given the cities options to put taxes into effect, and that went up in smoke, as they say. So that didn't happen. And you guys want to tax medical marijuana. Well, you know what? Are we going to tax the Vicodin? Are we going to tax insulin? Are we going to tax Prilosec? I mean, right now it's medical marijuana. You have to go to a doctor to get it. We don't tax prescription medicine. It's not an over-the-counter, and not anybody can get it. You have to go to a doctor. Now, while we all agree there's probably fraud and abuse in the system, there's fraud and abuse in every system. How many people, went out to liquor stores last weekend with fake IDs and bought liquor? We've got problems all over the place, but, we can't tax it. If you want to generate revenue, which our cities should be generating revenue, look at the examples up in other cities where you put permit fees and application fees and licensing fees. That is the way to generate revenue. Not by closing them down, not by suing them, not by causing them to have to go to court, where we have almost 200 lawsuits against the city with regards to this issue. Let's look at other ways to generate revenue through this industry, which there are ways, but you cannot tax it. And to think that you can, you're going to open up a whole other wave of lawsuits. Sales are illegal. Therefore, sales tax would be illegal. You have to look at the whole overall reason that we have it allowed right now, and that is, again, because it's medical. And again, we do not tax prescription drugs. And this is a drug that can only be gotten by a recommendation from a doctor. So I think we have to look at other ways to generate revenue, and I would say do not support this. Please, do not support this.
Wayne Spindler.
This is a good one. This was a proposal by Councilwoman Hahn. She was hoping that you could just have regular marijuana use, not just restricted to medical, and she was going to tax it. But you have a problem here. These are about collectives. This is not the production of marijuana for a commercial use. This is a collective nonprofit process that is supposed to be under 216, under the state constitution. $50 per $1,000, that's a 5% tax on gross receipts. That means that before the marijuana collective has all of its expenses, $50 comes right off the top. This is going to increase the cost of the medicine for these patients. This is an absolutely abominable measure. Vote no on this. This is an outrage. Thank you.
Alex Datig.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Good afternoon, members of the Council. My name is Alexandra Datig. Recently, my friend and colleague, Calvina Fay of the Drug Free America Foundation, who served under 3 administrations at the Office of National Drug Control Policy out of the executive branch of the White House, forwarded an article to me informing of the plan for the City of Los Angeles to place a measure on the March 8th ballot to levy a business tax on medical marijuana dispensaries. This is of concern because marijuana collectives are not for-profit businesses in Los Angeles and are therefore tax exempt. I have read the November 12th recommendation of the City Attorney to the Council, and I do not understand why some of the Council members still believe it is trivial that the proposed ballot measure is not only illegal by federal law, but also by state law. For the last 11 months, I have been campaigning statewide to help defeat Proposition 19, the Regulate, Control, and Tax Cannabis Act of 2010, which also failed to collect real taxes. During that campaign, it was made clear in October that U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder was going to make it a core priority to vigorously enforce the Controlled Substances Act, be it under state law or federal law, as related to the sale, cultivation, transportation, possession of marijuana for recreational use. To clarify this point, Kevin Sabet of the Office of National Drug Control Policy said in a written statement that the Obama administration, who has taken a position against the legalization of marijuana, is not particularly satisfied with medical marijuana either. Los Angeles is the second largest city in the United States. For this city to try and follow a lawless attitude of other cities such as Oakland and tax a business which under Proposition 215 is unconstitutional and under federal law is illegal would set a bad precedent. Before voters have to pay even more money by defending such a measure in court, if it passes, I recommend researching the case of the People versus Peter Kelly, which found that once enacted by voters, a ballot measure cannot be amended. Thank you.
DG Conti? Is it DG?
It's DeJoy.
Trying to read your writing, ma'am.
Resign.
Pardon me?
I'm sorry, I have some pretty elaborate handwriting. I'm sorry. Good afternoon. It's been a great pleasure to, one, share the council, share the chambers with the full council. I don't think I've ever been here when all of you have been here, and have seen you work so hard to get through all of these issues. I'd like to say, as a patient advocate, of someone who runs a 501c3 organization that works with patients and collectives throughout the city, there's a lot of mixed feelings about this. I think when patients and collectives first started getting going here in Los Angeles, there was an attitude, yes, we want to pay our fair share, we want to help contribute, we want to do what we can. But that attitude and that spirit was in lieu of good regulations. And just to give you a little bit, I've been receiving text messages and calls all day just to share with you some of the concerns from your constituents. How do they collect on taxes on something I'm not allowed to sell? I'm all for it as long as it makes sense. I think they need to get things worked out before they can set any taxes. We're not ready for taxation yet. That sucks, but if they can tax it, I should be able to legally sell it. And then the next one, if they want to tax seriously ill people to finance their mismanagement, let them. So there's a lot of mixed feelings about going into this. I would like to say that if you're going to do this, make sure the language is specific, that this only affects collectives that have actually gone through the process and have their permits, because you're probably looking at another 2 years of lawsuits. Judge Moore is going to have his decision come down on the 29th. We know there's going to be an appeal after that no matter what. So if you're going to impose a tax on the collectives, make sure it's a collective that has already been able to go through all of the other hoops and actually has a permit in their hand before you do this. Thank you for your time.
That completes our public comment on this matter. We now turn to Councilmember Hahn.
Thank you, colleagues. I just wanted to remind us that according to our ordinance, which we have adopted in the City of Los Angeles, it is true that our medical marijuana collectives cannot sell, but our city attorney has specifically drafted in our ordinance the ability for the collectives to accept reimbursements for the costs of running their collectives. This could include the growing, the cultivation, the rent, paying for the staff. So our city attorney has said that we can tax on the reimbursements, the gross reimbursements, and I have heard from many of the collectives they're willing to step up to the plate, they're willing to pay this tax. I think in this very difficult time, this is something we cannot say no to, and I think we should put this on the ballot, let the voters of Los Angeles decide whether or not we should tax on the gross reimbursements that these collectives will receive annually. So I ask for your support on this. Every city that put this on the ballot so far, it has passed unanimously. I think voters will pass ours as well, and we are very specific in what we are doing. We are only taxing what the city attorney has told us that was allowable in our ordinance, which is gross reimbursements. So I ask for your aye support. Let's put this on the ballot. Let's ask the voters of Los Angeles if this is something that they would be willing to support to bring revenue into the city so we can continue to fund libraries, parks, our fire department, our police department, streets. We can trim people's trees. This is about restoring basic vital services in our city. I don't think we can say no to this. I hope you'll support this.
Mr. Koretz.
Yeah, I would just point out the State Board of Equalization has been taxing and collecting medical marijuana since 2005, and a number of cities have done this as well, not just the liberal cities like Oakland, but Sacramento, La Puente, Richmond, San Jose, Stockton. And this is a pretty mainstream concept. Mainstream cities across the state are doing this. We're in desperate need of revenue, and there's no opposition. So why not go ahead and do this? This is the only significant revenue-generating item on our ballot, which originally intended to have several of them. I think we're in desperate need, and we shouldn't miss this opportunity.
Mr. Lamont.
Ms. Hahn, does this include, I've been into these stores to view them, Ms. Hahn. Ms. Hahn, does this include the glassware that they sell?
This is based on their reimbursements for their operations, their transactions.
I know, but they sell glassware in those places. They sell glassware. They sell bongs or whatever they call them. They sell smoking pipes. Does this include taxing them?
Do we have the city attorney who can answer the question? Please come forward. Other items that are sold, are they going to be taxable?
It's real. You know, I'm not really finding out.
Deputy City Attorney Dan Whitley, good afternoon.
No, it's not.
What this tax would apply is on, this would apply to...
Answer my question, though. Does it include taxing the glassware or auxiliary items that they use to inhale?
Those sales are already taxed under our system as a retail sale.
You come a little closer to the mic.
Those sales are already covered as a retail sale.
Do you know how much tax, because I think this place has been in operation, do you know how much tax the city's collected from the sale of those type of items?
Well, as far as we know, most of these collectives are nonprofit activities that are charitable enterprises, and so they're exempt from tax under our gross receipts tax. But they would be taxed as a retail establishment to the extent that they sell glassware.
Do you know, have we collected $100,000, $50,000, $10,000?
I don't have that information. You'd have to get that from Office of Finance.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you all know, basically, that I'm a person who strongly believes that people should vote yes for Measure 19, make it legal, get it over with, but leave it in the medicinal mode at the moment. The least we can do is tax it and regulate it and bring in that revenue stream to our city, as other cities have been doing across the country. Maybe someday we'll get more enlightened and stop throwing kids in jail and ruining their lives over marijuana and begin to treat it like we do alcohol and regulate it and tax it in locations that make sense. But in the meantime, to tax these medical clinics will bring in a revenue stream that will be helpful to the city, and also it's good for business in the sense that it makes them more competitive among themselves. So I look forward to seeing this on the ballot. Thank you.
Ms. Hahn to close. Ms. Hahn to close.
Okay. Yeah, I was waiting to see if another member was coming.
The question to the city attorney. Mr. Alarcon has a question for clarification. Well, seriously, they do sell edibles. Would it apply to edibles?
Okay.
Question from...
Okay, I call the question.
Can you answer that question?
No.
It's a legitimate question from
Call the
Mr.
question.
Alarcon.
Again, edibles would be retail sale.
Okay.
The edibles would be a retail sale, not covered by the ballot ordinance.
All right.
Munchie's already covered.
That matter is now before us for a vote
Thank you.
on the
F, you're up.
taxation. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes, 4 noes.
Matter passes.